Okay, what we're going to do here is real quick set up a DMX light in VSA. This particular light I've set to address 103 as I have it labeled here. The dip switches are set for DMX address 103. As this particular light is the only device that's on our DMX chain right now, that makes it the end of the chain as well. And so I have a terminator that I've made here, which I think is essentially a 120 ohm resistor across pins 2 and 3, which I've soldered into this little connector here. This line goes back to my Intech Pro box, and so we're going to fire up VSA here. And I'll zoom in just a little bit so that we can see what I'm doing. Okay. And I'm going to click on this little box up here. It looks like a hammer, and use the device settings tab, which it defaults to when it opens. I'm going to go down here to VSA channel 102, and since VSA starts with its channel addressing at 0 and DMX starts with 1, there's always going to be this offset between DMX and VSA. VSA is always going to be one number lower than the DMX channel. So I'm going to start here with this particular light on track 102 in VSA, and this particular light, channel 1, is blue, and I'm going to tell it that it's a Dmx dimmer. It's on here somewhere, there it is, and that it's on an Intech Pro. If you have an Intech Open, you would just select Intech Open here in the port. And then over here, for all of the channels, I'm going to set minimum 0 and default position 0. Okay, and so my next channel on this particular light is green, and this is a Dmx Dimmer. Dmx Dimmer, Intech Pro, and position 0, default and minimum is 0. Okay, the next color is red, and you have to check your particular DMX light because they're all different. In fact, in this particular light, the manual is different than what the light actually puts out. But if that happens to you, you'll see it, and you'll be able to go back and change your labels if you need to. So Intech Pro, and I'll set these at 0, 0, okay, and 0 and 0, okay. And the next one for this is some kind of macro thing, and I'm not sure exactly what that is. I think it's just some kind of stored thing in the light itself that kind of changes colors. I don't use them. So this is a Dmx Dimmer, going to Intech Pro, and I'm going to set this to 0 and 0, and there, see, since I clicked on this, the light is actually going through a sequence of this kind of macro stuff, and like I say, I don't use it. So I go through here and set it to 0, and then the light, when I click on the next line here, you'll see that it'll stop doing all of that little macro. The next one is strobe, and I'm setting that to Dmx Dimmer, and the strobe actually makes the light flash like it's a strobe light, although it certainly doesn't have the brightness or the impact that a true strobe light has. So you can see here that light stopped doing that business once I moved on and set the next channel. I'm not sure why VSA does that, but it does. So the last channel for our Dmx device here is dimmer. And for this particular device, and it's different from one light to the next. For any of the colors to come on, the dimmer has to be on. Okay, so we set it to Intec Pro. And so what I do on this one in the maximum minimum thing's a little bit different. I set the minimum to 0, but I set default to 255. And that means that it's always going to be telling the lights to be on, but they only come on if I tell one of the red, green, or blue channels to actually be on. So we set that, okay,